arrogant, selfish, jealous man, killer. He killed our beloved Mozart. On August 1750, in Legnago, Italy, a great future composer and conductor was born, called Antonio Salieri. Born into a musical family, he was able to nourish his musical talents from a young age. He spent most of his productive years in Vienna, starting as a pupil of several great musicians and composers, such as Giuseppe Tartini and Florian Gassman, where he studied the violin, harpsichord, and composition. 1774 was an important year to Antonio. At only 24 years old, he was appointed as a royal court composer by the Emperor Joseph II, a generous, actually one of the greatest patrons of the musical arts in Vienna. That same year, he married Therese von Helferstorfer, and they both wished to have 8 children together. This happily didn't happen. They only had one son named Éloi Engelbert Salieri. Being the royal court composer for 14 years, he then became the royal Kapellmeister of the court, meaning the musical director. Counting all these years, he worked more than 50 years at court. But what made Antonio a great composer were his operas. He wrote dozens of sacred and secular pieces, arias, cantatas, ballet, concerti. But opera was what he was known for. The first opera he wrote was La Donne Letterate in 1770. He was only 20 years old. It was a big success. He wrote more than 40 operas with all different kinds of styles and characters. Take the opera Axurredomus as an example, a very dramatical and tragic piece about kidnapping, fight, and suicide. Or Il Mondo alla Rovescia, the world upside down, or also called the inverted world, an amusing kind of science fiction comedy taking place on the mythical island under the reign of Amazons. Not only was he one of the greatest composers and conductors of his period, he was also an amazing teacher. He taught the most famous composers we know today, such as Ludwig van Beethoven, Karl Czerny, Franz Liszt, Franz Schubert. He was very much beloved by his students and all the people. So, why is he seen as such a bad man today? Let's talk about it. It all started after Salieri's death in 1825, when a rumor of him poisoning Mozart began circulating across Vienna. Apparently, a letter was found, written by Mozart, where he complains and shows frustrations and envy at Salieri. People immediately started to think that Salieri was Mozart's killer, but actually, this letter was simply an act of Mozart's jealousy. Apparently, Mozart had lost a position of musical mentor to the Princess of Württemberg, to Salieri himself. But Salieri was simply more appreciated by the princess. He was a great composer and had a very well-known reputation as an amazing teacher. Now, Mozart, very smart, he started to blame Antonio for all his defeats, such as the failure of his opera premiere. Now, all these faulty accusations and rumors were even more dramatized after Alexander Pushkin's play in 1830, called Mozart and Salieri. Then, a few years later, Peter Schaffer decided to rewrite the play, where he called Antonio as the patron saint of mediocrities. A total exaggeration of the rumor. Finally, in 1984, the story was performed on the silver screen as the movie most of us know, called Amadeus. Crazy how wrong Salieri was seen after his death. Even though he didn't lack of arrogance or pride, he still was a good man. He was charming, had charisma, was kind and generous, and he had the easiness of befriending with people. He didn't deserve to be treated like that. His pieces were seen as the best, and he was an amazing teacher, beloved by all his students.